All right, g'day everybody, and welcome to Rolling Conversations this Tuesday. We're really excited to have a big crew. I think it's our first edition of Rolling Conversations where we've had 3 guests, and also it's the first time that we've featured athletes from our disability lawn bowls community. One of the really important groups from within the wheelchair sports community, and it's a thrill for us to have Michelle Campbell, Ron Maude, and Brad Gilbert. So g'day everyone, and welcome to the 3 of you to Rolling Conversations.
Hi Mick, thanks.
G'day guys.
Hi Mick. Hi everyone.
And you're coming to us from various parts of New South Wales. So we say g'day to everyone watching online from around New South Wales and the ACT, in addition to those that perhaps are around Australia and New Zealand. But I might just start with finding out where you are in New South Wales and where you're talking to us from today. Michelle, starting with you, where have we got you from?
I'm in Newcastle. I'm still at work, so I'm sitting in my office, and hopefully there's still people outside doing what they should be doing. So thanks.
Excellent. And where's work for you?
The University of Newcastle.
Great. Well, we say g'day to everyone up there, and it's terrific to have you with us, Michelle. What about you, Ron? Where are you talking to us from tonight?
I'm from Wingham on the mid-north coast. That's where I'm coming from at the moment.
And what's the weather like at Wingham tonight, Ron?
It's bloody cold.
I imagine. Well, you're a Queenslander by birth, so you're there in the T-shirt despite the cold weather.
Mate, this is me nice and warm blue sloppy Joe.
Very nice. Well, you're looking sharp, mate. Welcome to you. And to Brad, what about you, mate? Where have we got you from?
I'm from northern New South Wales, a little town called Casino, about 2.5 hours south of the border.
Yeah, great. And now Casino is well known for its beef. In fact, it lays claim to being the beef capital of probably the world, if not New South Wales or Australia. Is that fair? I mean, can you make any comment about that?
Absolutely, it's fair. I don't think there's any dispute, despite what Rockhampton want to say. Yeah, I mean, we've got the best festival going around. We've got Beef Week, which unfortunately had to be cancelled due to everything going on this year. But yeah, it's a great time of year. I encourage people to come and have a visit around that time of year. It's the end of May, last week of May, the start of June. So come
great.
and have a look.
It is a super place. I was saying earlier I have played a few gigs up at Beef Week and Casino, and Michelle, you referenced that you were also connected to Beef Week in a way. We just lost a few people from Rockhampton that were watching on, but nonetheless, we've got plenty of other people out there. And please send your questions through for Michelle, Ron, and for Brad, and we'll get time to ask them questions as we go through this half an hour together on Rolling Conversation. So I wanted to start, if I may, as I say, it is great that we've got you guys involved tonight because we want to make sure that the disability lawn bowls community is heard and we tell your stories. Starting, Michelle, with you, if I may, how did you get involved in disability lawn bowls? And tell us what's really interesting about the lawn bowls in this space is that people play in very different ways. So interested as to how you got involved and how you play lawn bowls.
So I think it'd be fair to say that all of us play in an able-bodied competition as well, but how we came to play with wheelchair sports, we've all got a separate story. I came to a come and try day for hand cycling and said, what else do you do? And when they mentioned lawn bowls, I said, oh, okay, maybe I'll come and join. And I did. I'd previously had a set of bowls, hadn't played for quite some time, decided to turn up at a competition, and you know, there was such a great group of people that it spurred me on to buy a new set of bowls and keep competing. And I am a fierce competitor. And that was, I think, back in 2016. So I'm really glad to have made that decision to come on board.
Yeah, great.
And I was going to say, and I bowl standing up. I'm sure the other two will talk about how they bowl, but I bowl standing up and don't quite take that. But I bowl from a fixed stance, so don't take a great long lunge like we might see some bowlers take. If I do accidentally take that, I'm often face plant, and we don't like that look too often. But no, so it's a sport that's very inclusive.
Yes, indeed it is. Thanks, Michelle. Ron, how long have you been bowling for, mate? And you know, again, talking about how you came to be involved and how do you bowl? You know, what's your approach?
Well, mate, I've been bowling for over 30 years. I was never always disabled. I had a bad work accident, and 7 operations later, one of which I just had recently, I use a walker and a bowling arm. And yeah, I've only been involved with disability bowls and wheelchair sports for probably, I don't know, Michelle, 3 or 4 years. But yeah, it's put me back into perspective, and the camaraderie's fantastic. So wheelchair sports is you know, a good thing.
Yes. Hey, Ron, for those of us,
it helped me get back to playing bowls.
for those of us, Ron, who haven't might not have seen, or those listening on who might not have seen what a bowling arm is, can you just briefly describe how the bowling arm works?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's about a metre long. It's got a little hoop at the end and a trigger up the top, and you put your bowl in it and hang on to the trigger, swing, aim, and let it go. And I've mastered it.
You certainly have, with some great results. Ron, thank you. And Brad, you're I won't say at the other end of the age spectrum because that'd be rude, but certainly to our friends down the bottom there. But Brad, you are a younger member of the community. Tell us about your journey to be being involved in lawn bowls.
Yeah, so I first started through my dad. He got me into it. He was playing when he was younger with his parents, and where I'm from, there's not really too much for me or for a person in a wheelchair sport-wise. There's always like your football, your cricket, that sort of thing, which I did play with my brothers in the backyard and that sort of thing. But I couldn't play things competitively from a chair. So we sort of found that that was a way for me to get out of the house and actually doing something with myself, with my spare time. So, yeah.
And again, for those that might not have seen it, Brad, and Michelle referenced the inclusivity of disability lawn bowls, there isn't a separate category, if I'm correct, is that everyone plays alongside each other. Is that right?
We're classified, Mick. So
Yeah.
according to your balance and your level of impairment, each of us undergo a technical classification and a classification by a medical classifier. But no, we sometimes play in those classifications, depending if we went away to nationals, we'd play in the classifications. But certainly, in terms of me playing against someone in a chair, playing against someone in an arm, we're not separated in that way.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And so, just as an aside, then who wins? You three of you go head to head. Who comes out on top? Ron?
It's got to be me, mate.
Thought you might say that.
On
Well,
your
they've
day,
not beaten me. Brad's beaten me once.
on your day, yeah.
Michelle's beaten me once, and that was in a state title.
Oh, that
So,
hurts.
yeah.
I think we all
Right.
have our good games and our bad games. So,
We do.
you know, yeah.
And that's
Very
the
diplomatic,
tough
Michelle. Brad, what do you reckon? Head to head, the three of you?
Definitely Ron, over probably me and Michelle. As I said, I have beaten Ron before. I've got him on a bad day, I think, or at a bad time. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, it was a great game, the one that we had. I believe that was the last tournament we had that I played against you and I won, Ron.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So.
And we're having a laugh, but we had a message there from Joe Shoebridge, who of course you all know, and Joe's given us a bit of up the bowlers woohoo. But it is interesting because it is a very special community, the lawn bowls community that we have at Wheelchair Sports. And I wonder if you could give us a sense of the sort of camaraderie that goes on when the New South Wales Wizards go on tour, or we have the Singles Classic or the New South Wales Open. There seems to be a few beers had at certain points of the tournament and a fair bit of fun. Any stories you want to share with us, Michelle? I might start with you.
I'm legless before I start. I wouldn't have a beer, Mick. Come on. That's not me you're talking about, Mick. Yeah.
No, I wasn't pointing
what
fingers.
What happens on tour stays on tour. Yeah.
Thanks, Michelle. You got me out of that one.
Fair enough. Well said.
We'll run with that. Yeah.
Without naming names, Ron, the camaraderie seems like a pretty special thing amongst the bowlers. You must have enjoyed that.
Well, mate, for the time I've been a member, I've met 50 plus perfect people. I'm just glad that I'm a part of it. The camaraderie's great.
Yeah, well said. And really, that's one of the, if not the pillar of our community. I mean, we're all into sport, but it's everything that goes along with sport, and it's the community that really Wheelchair Sports New South Wales is a community. Brad, you've experienced that as well, I imagine, that sense of camaraderie amongst the bowlers.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone's really accepting of everyone else. There's never someone that's just sort of left alone. Everyone sort of wants to be involved, and that's the thing, everyone gets everyone else involved. There's not a lot of talk about people's disability. I mean, it does come up, but it's not the main thing, because we are playing sport where we're talking about our sport and that sort of thing. So our disability sort of comes second to what we're actually there for, which I think is a good thing, because we live it day to day, and yeah, it can get a bit taxing talking about it the whole time. Yeah, I mean, to get away and be able to play just a sport with people in a similar situation, and just play the sport is a really good opportunity for people.
Yeah, great. Now you are all outstanding lawn bowlers. I'm interested just to ask you individually what your greatest achievement has been so far. Obviously, you've got plenty of years ahead of you doing this terrific sport, but I might start, Ron, with you. What do you count as your greatest achievement in lawn bowls to date?
Oh, gee, well, winning the state pairs with Phil Plackett, my mate Phil, was a good one. Winning the state singles was probably the highlight. Runner up in the Australian Open disability pairs with Phil. I don't think anything takes the cake. Well, gold would, but yeah, I've won more as my situation than I did when I was an able-bodied bowler. Mm-hmm. So everything that I win is good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to play against people like Michelle and Brad and Mick and Jeff and Ryan, mate, it's all good.
It is all good, and you got plenty of good years ahead of you, Ron. What about you, Michelle? Then, in terms of your time in the sport, what do you think of when you think of some of the things you've achieved?
I think the fact that I'm the current pairs national champion is a great thing for New South Wales, and for my pairs partner Joe Hunter. But I think my most prized medal would have to be my singles, my silver medal from the Australian Open from the singles. Yeah, where I let a New Zealander get on top of me.
Yeah.
Some days are good and some days aren't. Yeah,
that's awkward.
But no,
I was going to say, it was John Denver. Some days are diamonds, some days are Oh, yeah, there you
No,
go.
I'm not singing for you, Mick. I'm not.
Okay, if the moment takes you, let me know. Excellent, Brad. What about you, mate? I think we might know the answer to this question, given your success recently. But what do you count as your biggest achievement in the sport so far?
Biggest achievement is probably the latest one that I've got. I'm currently the singles champion for State New South Wales. So yeah, that was a big achievement. It was a few years in the making. I've been able to sort of improve over time, and looking back now, I can sort of see that improvement in my game and just in myself as a person. And then it's just sort of all come through all at the right time, sort of thing. Yeah, it's a good build up, and then just to be able to get over the line against Mick, that was a really good game. It was a really close game right to the very end.
Yeah, we heard a lot about it, and it was very exciting. Now, Brad, just as an aside, you strike me as a very clever bloke. You are actually a Parramatta supporter, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, that figures. Although you would be of the certain age that would mean you've actually never seen a Parramatta premiership, right?
I haven't. No. Hopefully this year. We started off all right. Last weekend was a bit disappointing, but we won't talk about that.
No.
Yeah, I got involved with Parramatta through my Year 4 teacher. He got me into it. Since then, I've actually been able to meet a past player who played in one of the premiership games. I'm not sure what premiership he played in, but it was at a bowls tournament. Actually, he gave me his premiership jumper, and it's not the traditional jumper that you would see now. It was actually your zip up one. It had been in the cupboard somewhere, but yeah, I'm not too sure where it is. But he was nice enough to give that to me. So yeah.
They were good times, Brad. If you hang on the call at the end, you and I can talk for a few hours about the great premierships of the 1980s.
81, 82, 83, mate.
You know it, Ron. You know it.
I was a Parramatta supporter.
You were you?
I was.
Wow.
Bring that
you turned to the Broncos.
Well, 1989.
Sure. We won't talk about that. You're breaking up a bit, Ron. I think we might be dropping you out. Tell me, Todd Parker there asks a question, and I'll start with Michelle, if I may. What level do you all play at your local clubs? Now, I don't know what that means. So as someone that's not as familiar with your sport, what's Todd talking about there?
I think what he's referring to is people who play pennants play a certain grade in pennants. I'm not a pennants player. I work full time, so it sort of precludes what I get to play in. The really positive thing this year, or towards the end of last year, was that Bowls New South Wales changed their guidelines that said they would accept or be inclusive of all genders. So I now bowl with the men in my club, not with Women's Bowls New South Wales and with the women. So I'm now finding that, well, when we finally get back on to be able to compete, that's going to make me a better bowler and expose me to some really tough games and some tough conditions. So I'm hoping that that's going to show an improvement in my sport.
Yeah, great. Ron, what about you, mate? Are you playing pennants within a club situation?
Yeah, mate, I play at Railway, Taree Railway Institute. And, well, because we haven't played, it was all cancelled this year.
Yes.
Before I moved up here, last year I played in the number 2 pennant side, and we won the flag at Ettalong. So, basically I'm still graded a number 2, which is one off the top.
And did you have a few beers after you won the flag?
I was actually at Nationals in Mackay, and I didn't play in the final because I couldn't get back. But I played 9 games out of 10, and I got my pin. So I'm happy about that.
Well done. Congratulations. And Brad, are you a member of a club made up your way?
I am, yeah. I play out of Casino RSM Club. I'm graded a 4. I skip a forward side, a 4 grade rather. And yeah, we had a couple of games before cut down, but yeah, that's sort of where I've been for a couple of years now. So yeah.
Yeah, great. Brad, we might just get you to put that next to your mouth so we can not hear you on future questions. That'd be great. And shout out to the crew from Bowls New South Wales saying, well done, guys. The New South Wales Wizards make us New South Wales bowlers very proud. So to our mates at Bowls New South Wales, we say good day and thanks for tuning in. So we're going to do a bit of show and tell now while we're waiting for a couple of questions from the community. Michelle, you've definitely got something. Well, you've got 2 things, I think, to do show and tell. One's a little crafty and the other one's to do with your lawn bowls. What do you got?
So I thought that there might be some people that didn't know what a lawn bowl actually looked like. Ron, please.
I'm sorry.
So a lawn bowl has a bias, which means it curves as it rolls down the green. So each of our bowls will have a different size depending on the size of our hand. And we have a large logo on one side and then we have a smaller logo on the other side. And depending on which way you want your bowl to roll, you have to put that on the correct side. Otherwise, you really embarrass yourself. They actually, we were having a talk beforehand and Mick said, has anyone got show and tell? And I said, I'll get my knitting out. And Brad said, you're at work. And I said, well, it's just my blanket. So, it's really cold here in the office. So it's a work in progress.
I just made a comment.
Yeah, I know. And as I knit, I get warmer. So there you go.
Okay. And so is that's going to be a rug or something at the end there, Michelle? What was it?
Yeah, a nice big shawl. Do you want to put an order in, Mick?
Lovely. Yes, I'll send you a note about that.
You can have a beanie. Yeah.
A beanie, thank you. Without any natural coverage, that's not a bad idea. Ron, as someone who similarly doesn't have any natural coverage, are you knitting anything at the moment we need to know about?
Mate, I don't want to show you.
Nice. Yeah. He's got some hidden talents, I reckon, that Ron Maddow. Now, Brad, you've got some show and tell for us, though.
Yeah, I've got my my medal that I won from my latest championship. I'll pop it up here now for you. That's got the
There you go.
Got the
There we
logo on there, and then I'm not sure if you can read the back.
Oh,
of it.
yeah.
Probably
Yeah,
not.
we can see it.
Yep. So,
Beauty.
so
And where have you got that, mate? Where does that, is that a pride of place in the home?
that's hanging up next to a picture frame, a picture that I've got framed with all my other medals. That's just sort of where they sort of all end up. Yeah, I've got quite a few over there from looking about 4 or 5 from my view here at the moment.
Nice. Now, we've got a message there from Gary Eggleton. Lost weight, Ron Maldo. So there we go. Gary's having a go. How do we know Gary?
Good to see you, Gary.
Is Gary a bowler,
No, I
Ron? How do
haven't
we know
lost
him?
weight.
Is he a lawn bowler himself, Ron?
Yes, mate. He's a mate of mine from Ettalong Bowling Club, where I was for 22 years. And he's a lovely, lovely bloke.
Right. Well, we shout out to Gary. Now, David has asked 2 questions, specifically, Ron, for you. One is, how hard is it not to swear on this broadcast? And number 2, what type of beer's in that mug you keep drinking from?
It's really hard not to swear, Dave. And it's coffee. Black coffee.
We believe you. There's actually a message from Rod Heil there who also asks what's in Ron's cup. So there seems to be a bit of interest out there about
it's black beer.
What you're drinking.
It is black beer. It's black beer. I didn't want to be on with a stubby, so I put it in a coffee cup.
Very nice. Very nice. Very professional.
I'll be honest.
Hey, guys, we want to ask about also the message there from Ryan Gilbert, proud brother here. Brad's victory earlier in the year meant so much to our family, having seen him try so hard across the years. So, Brad, a lovely message from Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan's always been a big supporter of mine. I've been lucky enough to play with him up at his own club there a few years ago. yeah, he's always ringing me up and asking me to play here, there, and everywhere with him. So yeah,
Very cool. Shout out to Ryan there. Thanks, mate, for the message.
Absolutely.
Michelle, we want to get more people involved in lawn bowls, and particularly with the Wheelchair Sports Communities program. Have you guys got any ideas? And starting, Michelle, with you, as to how we invite more people in to join this beautiful community and be a part of this great sport?
One of the requirements is that you're a member of a bowling club in your local community. So if people are interested in joining, they can always come along to where we are having, our championships at any time. And we'll be happy to talk and meet with people. But first of all, approach your local club. And even if it's just to approach the local coach and say, how might I get started? What can I do? And of course, if you get in touch with Wheelchair Sports, they'll give you any of the details that you need around classification and joining in as part of the Wheelchair Sports community. Yep.
Yeah, well said indeed. Brad, have you got any ideas in terms of getting more people involved and attracting more people to the community?
I think part of it is being able to have exposure in our sport of disability lawn bowls. We've done really well with having our live streams and that sort of thing. We've got like your Ringside Live for your able-bodied stuff. So to be able to have someone in a wheelchair or a disabled person on a Ringside Live, I think that would create a lot of interest in the sport. Because we can bowl just as well as an able-bodied person, and I mean we play with and against them day in and day out at our own club anyway. So the experience is always there to play with those people.
Yeah. Ron, what about you, mate? You've been around a long time. You must have seen plenty of people come into the sport. How do we attract more people? How do we grow things?
Mate, before I had my accident, I used to look after the disability bowlers at Edelong. And now I'm one of them. Mate, schools are good. Up here at Wingham, we got the local high school, the local primary school, everybody, local.
We get the word out there, and it's one of the things our community does best, really, across all sports, not only lawn bowls, is it wraps an arm around people when they put their hand up and say they want to get involved. And Michelle, you started, I think, from a come and try day, and quickly have become a very important part of our community. So I imagine on a bunch of different levels, you've all experienced that sense of camaraderie where the community wraps an arm around you and brings you in. We've got a message there from Rod Heil saying Ron has been a great advocate for disabled sport. So Ron, a shout out to Rod, and obviously recognising the role that you've played in other people's careers as well.
Well, thanks, Rod. Yeah, believe it or not, I've done more being disabled than I ever did able-bodied. So it's great. It's absolutely great.
So we've only got a minute or so left, but I want to make sure we get to the future for you. So I might go around the grounds with you one more time and say, really, what are you looking at? What's the dream? If you could achieve anything in lawn bowls, what would it be? Michelle, we'll start with you. I've got a crystal ball. I can help you to achieve whatever you want to achieve.
Really?
You've finished your knitting and
Yep.
you are ready to go. Achieve whatever you want to achieve. What's the goal? What's the dream?
Some gender equity or some gender parity, and the ability to trial for Com Games and play in a Paris squad. Yep.
Right. Well, we can't wait to follow your journey and watch you achieve that, and we're sure you will. Ron, what's your dream, mate?
Mate, pretty much the same. To put that green and gold on and play for Australia. That's my ultimate goal.
Very cool. Brad, what about you, mate?
I think, as well as the green and gold, I think it's to get the word out that disabled people, whether they play sport or not, are the same as every single other person and should be viewed in that way. I think at the moment we've come a long way as a society, but I think we need to really keep it going, trying to improve ourselves and how we're viewed. So yeah, along those lines, that's sort of the reason that I play the sport the way that I do, to show people that I'm just the same as every other person playing the sport.
Here, mate. Really well said. And I must say how great it is. All of the guys in my team today were talking about how excited they were to have the bowlers on tonight. It is a really special part of the Wheelchair Sports New South Wales community. So to you, Michelle, to Ron and to Brad, we've run out of time, unfortunately, but it's been great to have you on Rolling Conversation representing the bowlers. We're all going to follow your careers with real interest, as we already do, but we want to see you achieve great things and continue that wonderful sense and spirit of camaraderie that exists within the bowls community. So thanks for being a really important part of Rolling Conversations tonight.
Mate, great to be here.
Cheers, guys, and thanks to everyone watching on. We'll be back again next Tuesday, so thanks for joining Rolling Conversations, and stay safe and happy this week. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you.
mate.
Right.
On out.